So here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today, taking a look at some clips from the news, having some dialogue with those of you who were able to join us for the live portion. And if you happen to be listening somewhere else and you wanted to join the live portion, of course, you can find us on YouTube at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. As we get ready to jump off, joined by three felines in the room today. I have, who have I got? Uncle is on the floor, Dusty is on the floor, and then there's Monkey right here, sitting on the printer, for those of you who can see. And naturally, I do try to read through as many of the comments as is plausible, reasonably so. And I'll say hello to some of the people that have been able to chime in thus far. We've got H12 with us here today, Helter. Tuck, who says his legs hurt. You've been jogging? Dragon is here. Brian is here, who says that they've been missing the last couple of days. That's all right. You know, things happen. Cyberjack Sr. is here. Spectre, Ragnar has joined us thus far, or chosen to chime in thus far. Not everybody has to, but you know, Magic Mirror is watching you. I can see you with my Magic Mirror. I borrowed it from Romper Room. As we get ready to jump off here and see what is going on in the world today. And of course, some of the biggest news that's out there currently is on account of the DNC, which is closing up. DNC is closing up, and of course, it made a lot of people angry. I got kind of fired up yesterday talking about Oprah being at the DNC. I think it's insulting. The woman is insulting. Okay, she talked to people like they were children. Oh, we're gonna vote for Kamala. That's what we're gonna do. Yup, yeah, huh? We're gonna vote for Kamala and stuff because, like, joy. Give me a break. Give me a break. Tuck says their legs always hurt more when busy. Today I'm building a cat tower. Mine hurt when I'm not busy. It's when all the pain comes back to me. You know, I've had my knees broken before, and so they ache all the time. But if I'm active, I don't notice it. And when it's time for bed, that's when it all sets in. Anyways, back to the point. And what an incredible hypocrite the woman is, talking about racism and talking about how we have to choose honor and integrity. And I want to know where the hell it is. Where the hell is it? If you had such honor and integrity, you wouldn't have riots going on outside. There wouldn't have been 100,000 people in the streets. There wouldn't have been shops boarded up for blocks, not able to do any business because they were afraid of looters and rioters. You didn't see that at the Republican National Convention, I don't think, did you? Fluke Man has joined us, as well as Urban Angst popping in today. Big disappointment at the DNC. Big disappointment, of course. Beyonce didn't show up. Neither did Taylor Swift. Didn't show up. And this is a CNN article. Beyonce hype ran high, then popped like a balloon at the DNC. It says, you may want to avoid the beehive today as it is buzzing and ready to sting. There was heightened excitement. That's a good opening line. There was heightened excitement among many heading into the final night of the Democratic National Convention, not just because Vice President Kamala Harris was set to accept the party's nomination, but because of hope the woman behind her campaign anthem would rain on the thunder, quote, and wave through the waters of Chicago's United Center. Beyonce probably couldn't make it through the rioters. Like most pop culture fantasies, speculation that Beyonce would make an appearance at the DNC started and ended on social media. From the moment CNN reported in July that Beyonce had granted the vice president's permission to use her 2016 song Freedom for her presidential campaign, there were questions. Would Queen Bey, B-E-Y, Bey, but they call her B, make a formal endorsement? I hate that she's called that, by the way. Might a concert in support of Harris happen? And even more mind-blowing, could Beyonce and Taylor Swift, two of the biggest artists on the planet, join together in support of Harrison Chi-Town? You know, just on a side note, real quick here, I hate modern performers being called artists. Everybody who auto-tunes and electronic AI generates their way through music is called an artist now. I hate that. You are musical performers, musical performers. Most of these people are far from being artists. They're not that good. Beyonce, not that good. I'm sorry. I know somebody's going to get upset. She's not a bad singer, but I don't think that her voice deserves for her to be put on the pedestal the media has placed her on. That's my opinion. Okay. And also, I could see where people would have thought that she would have appeared, not just because of the hype or because of the use of the song, but because she did it for Hillary Clinton. You might remember back in 2016, I think, right? Beyonce and Jay-Z did a concert, a free thing for Hillary Clinton, and they couldn't fill the seats. Half the auditorium was empty. You can't fill the seats for free. Maybe she was like, nah, you know what? I don't want to face that again. It's a possibility. Brian said, you said the son you said had the lemonade stand was short. Is that your adopted son? Just curious because you said that you are tall. No, he is not. Well, you know, if we're really going to dig into it, keep in mind that when my ex got custody in 2003, and I was pretty much out of contact with them, I couldn't get hold to those kids. And the courts gave my kids back to me, the two oldest boys, all right? Because I have three, really. When the court asked me to take them back, the charges were abuse and neglect. In those neglect charges was malnutrition. And I was hearing horror stories about them going and shoplifting like potatoes at Kroger supermarket and eating them raw in the parking lot. Just, you know, for perspective. So yeah, a lot of that was malnutrition during where he would have had growth spurts. Dragon says USA elections are like watching a daytime game show. And Tuck says, I never could stand her howling voice, not one song. And then Helter said, unfortunately, many people are stupid and emotional enough that they would vote for a person based on a celebrity endorsement. Unfortunately, there is some truth to that. Nostalgic Podblast is here. Nostalgic, by the way, is the program director, as it were, for Fistful of Radio. And there he just said so. He says, leader of Fistful of Radio streaming out of Atlanta is in the house. He's letting you know who he is. I'll put that up there for a second. But it doesn't surprise me that after the embarrassment that Beyonce and Jay-Z suffered when they did musical promos for Hillary Clinton, that they would not want to do it again. That she wouldn't want to put herself out there like that again. And I see Dental has made it today. Glad you could join us. Talking about Beyonce. Beyonce didn't show up. Taylor Swift didn't show up. Oh, how heartbreaking. Give me a break. You know who was there? You know who was there? They dug this one out of the woodwork. Hold on a second as I get this prompt up. Stevie Wonder. Yes, Stevie Wonder found his way, or was led, to the, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist, to the DNC because he's so relevant, isn't he? Stevie Wonder, who knew he was still alive? I think he's what, 74, 75 years old. People magazine article, Stevie Wonder, John Legend, and Sheila E. Oh, wow. Sheila E. There's some bones being dug up from the graveyard. Cover Prince's Let's Go Crazy at the 2024 Democratic National Convention. So you had Stevie Wonder, John Legend, and Sheila E. And they had to do a cover song They don't have enough of their own music that they can lend to the DNC. They got to sing someone else's music. I love it. There's everything wrong with the DNC right there. Tim Waltz, let me see. During the third night of the 2024 Democratic National Convention on Wednesday, August 23rd, the All of Me hitmaker 45 performed a song by one of Minnesota's most iconic artists, Prince. Legend previously was part of the 2020 Grammys tribute for Prince, where he sang Nothing Compares to You. He could have sang his own song at the Grammys. Why is he singing someone else's songs? Joined by Prince's collaborator Sheila E. and Stevie Wonder, the R&B soul musician performed an energetic rendition of Prince and the Revolution's 1984 classic, Let's Go Crazy. Stevie Wonder also spoke. There he is right there. He also spoke at the DNC. I didn't listen to what he said because I really couldn't give a shit. I'm sorry. He's really, none of these people, I don't know about John Legend, but Sheila E. and Stevie Wonder are ghosts at this point. I know he became vocal when Hillary was running the last time around. If I'm not mistaken, he came out for Hillary and talked about that. And it's like, nobody cares nobody ever even had heard from him since he did the music for Jungle Fever by Spike Lee. And I remember that specifically. The reason I remember it is because he was on Oprah. Okay. And it's one of the 2 or 3 times I actually watched an Oprah show in my life. He was on and he was singing his title song, Jungle Fever, which consists all of about 4 sentences. And she kept making him do it again. Oh, come on, Stevie. You just got to sing that one more time. And even he looked like, shit, lady, you got to be kidding me. Seriously? Because the song is bullshit. I know I'm getting kind of irate here, but I've got jungle fever. You've got jungle fever. He got jungle fever. She got, guess what? Jungle freaking fever. The same 4 sentences repeated over and over. And she had him sing it like 3 or 4 freaking times. It reminded me of Ice-T with Body Count. If you're not familiar, the original, the very first Universal Soldier with Jean-Claude Van Damme, the title song for that is a song called Body Count by Ice-T, which he basically says body count about 500 times. Body count, body count, body count, body count, on and on and on. It's brainless. Prior to that, we hadn't heard from Stevie Wonder since he sang I Just Called to Say I Love You. You might remember that. Who the hell cares about Stevie Wonder anymore? And do you really think he's going to get off? Okay, we got a monkey. Do we monkey, everybody, for those of you who can see? Up on my desk being annoying. Monkey is now in the habit of not only untying my shoes when I'm not looking, but leaping up onto my back from behind and sitting on my shoulder like a freaking parrot. So let me catch up a couple of comments here as I prattle on. Nostalgic says Taylor knew she would lose many fans if she went to the convention. Brian says, I see it makes sense. It's terrible they had to go through all of that. Yeah, it is. Talking about what I said about my middle son. My middle son there. He's successful, though. But they went through a lot. Sven says, because everyone knows they are anti-black dicks when they support these dicks, as it were. Urban says, many will vote for Kamala because she's a woman and perceived as black. And unfortunately, that is very true. That is very true. That's how a lot of people will vote on that concept, on that ticket, which is unfortunate. You know, again, I don't have a problem with a female in public office. I don't have a problem with a person of so-called color in office. Are you going to do the job? This woman does not look like she's going to do the job. She laughs hysterically when confronted with a question that she can't really answer, which is just a nervous reaction. And half the time she sounds like she's intoxicated. And we don't know that she's done anything. What has she done her whole career? Nostalgic says Taylor has put her claws into the NFL. Many NFL fans are not into the left. As I catch up here, Tuck says, I've read numerous stories from people who've seen Wonder live. Before the show starts, he walks around the stage unaided, never runs into anything or trips on cable. I've heard suspicions that he's only technically legally blind. Kind of like Lou Ferrigno is legally deaf. He can hear you, but he's legally deaf. Nostalgic reminds us the left lied again about the big surprise guest at the climax. And Cruising says the rest of these guys might be ghosts, but Prince will forever be one of the ghosts. Yeah, and I wonder if he would have pandered. If he would have been pandered, who knows? Tuck remembers Body Count. It's not a very memorable song, is it, Monkey? Is it, Monkey? Okay, buddy, I love you too. Helter, don't do that. Helter says, I highly doubt Prince would have accepted an invitation. He licks my mouth. That's what he was just trying to do there. I wake up in the middle of the night with him doing it. Licking my mouth and digging his claws in my food. And now he's knocking the microphone over. Sorry about that. I know that had to be loud on your end. Oh my God. And Dragon says that's how Obama got voted in. The people voted him in because of his skin color. Speaking of skin color, you didn't see very much paleness, shall we say, at the DNC, except for Neil Young. Neil Young, who is pathetic, absolutely pathetic at this point. Sick of Neil Young. Hope he just fades away and never gets heard from again. So between Neil Young, Tim Waltz, the Chicks, who sang the national anthem, and Bill Clinton, was there anyone else Caucasian at the DNC? I'm not sure. But they made a great deal. They put a great deal of effort, rather, into demonstrating how, quote, diversified they are and how dedicated they are to the black vote, as it were, by showcasing primarily black people, it seems. I mean, Al Sharpton was there. Jesse Jackson, who was literally wheeled out. He can't walk anymore. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, two of the biggest shysters in the business. Cruising said Prince told the music industry where they could go with tens of millions on the line. I think he'd tell politicians where to go even faster and with more style. I would hope so. Some of these people can afford to have a little bit more integrity. Brian says their friend on Facebook posted a meme saying how Taylor Swift preaches saying the environment while she travels on a private jet to see her 20th boyfriend. They all do. She is not alone. But there you are, and this is what a Variety article. Neil Young approves Tim Waltz's use of "Rockin' in the Free World" after suing the Trump campaign for using it. That's because he's on that bandwagon. This is what Neil Young is doing, like many celebrities do nowadays, to try to still remain relevant. Please notice me. Please pay attention to me. I haven't totally faded away, and retirement's not quite working out the way I expected. Come on now. Here I am. Please talk to me. Buy my, well, he doesn't sell records anymore. I guess stream my music. And Sven says, I hope Neil Young will remember he is a bigot. No. You keep on rocking. It's a free world. Vice presidential nominee Tim Waltz received approval for the use of Neil Young's "Rockin' in the Free World" during the Democratic National Convention on Wednesday night. Waltz ended his speech with rapturous applause. Did he? It didn't sound like that to me. Also, side note, I don't have anything pulled up on this, but how many people have noticed that the news articles pandering to the DNC, every one of them called it electrifying. Oh, it was electrifying. It was electrifying. It was an electrifying night. It was an electrifying performance. Her speech was electrifying. That's string pulling at its finest. Whoever is at the top suggested they use the word electrifying, or they may not have even suggested it. They may have said, try to allude to the idea that it's an electrifying performance. And so they took that as a direct cue. It's kind of like, oh, who the hell wrote the Ghostbusters theme song? Who wrote the Ghostbusters theme song? Ray Parker Jr. I bet Nostalgic knew that. Ray Parker Jr. I forgot. He was played a song by Huey Lewis and the News and told, oh, this is his version anyways, do something like this, and literally copied the song, so much so that they got sued over the Ghostbusters theme song. Because when Huey Lewis heard it, he was like, hey, that's my song. Someone just sped it up. That's my music anyways. Somebody said to them, yeah, I knew it. Nostalgic said Ray Parker Jr. And Semper Fi has joined us. I wonder if someone at the top said to these jokers, make it sound like it's electrifying. Or it was probably more like this, make it sound as if the DNC is electrifying. And then flames burst up all around them. And then the pentagram made an outline in the ground and it glowed as they all groveled on the floor. Yes, master. Yes, master. Anyway, let's drink this blood and go out and tell everybody how electrifying everything is. And they're not even smart enough to embellish that a little. Helter says, Rockin' in the Free World is a song about the failure of the American dream. Weird that politicians always want to use it for rallies. Fantastic. That's a good point. It's kind of like Born in the USA. It's a protest song. It's not talking about how great America is. You know what's a good protest song? Oh, what is it? From Genesis. From Genesis. This is the world we live in. How does that song go? That's a fantastic protest song. Really creepy puppets in the music video. That's a fantastic protest song. Nobody thinks about it. Or how about They Don't Really Care About Us by Michael Jackson. Fantastic protest song. Kind of been forgotten at this point. Cruising says, Dave should run for office and use Frank Zappa for his music. Yeah, I know. I'll use the Muffin Man. He was known for his stuffing. World's greatest protest song. And go. Who thinks world's greatest protest song? The one that's had the greatest influence. See if anybody knows. And Tuck says the only Springsteen song I like is Blinded by the Light. Springsteen's not that good. If we're being honest, I've got it. Actually, I've got one of his albums in my file down here. Right there. And it's got his best tracks are on this record. You know, Born in the USA album. Most of the rest of his stuff, it's not good. It really isn't. It sounds like nightclub stuff. He's got a handful of good songs on this. The rest of his career, it sounds like nightclub stuff. It's not that amazing. Just, I had to say it. Not that amazing. You know who else is not that amazing? And then I'll get back to the protest song here in a moment. I cannot think of the name of that song. Is it The World We Live In? I don't think that's right. Land of Confusion. I knew it was something else. Land of Confusion. Mandanimal said favorite protest song is War. I'll show you the most influential protest song ever written in a moment. But also, speaking of someone who's not that great, not that fantastic, although the media would argue with me on that point, Tim Waltz, The Independent. An article by The Independent. Tim Waltz is clearly a Midwest man's man. But he's the antidote to the toxic MAGA masculinity. Tim Waltz, he's the man. He's a man's man. Man's man. Man's man. He's a lumberjack and he don't care. There's no way to argue that Minnesota Governor Tim Waltz isn't a man's man. The 60-year-old teacher turned politician whose Vice President Kamala Harris tapped as her running mate less than 3 weeks ago exudes a certain rural sensibility that pervades Midwestern states. He served nearly a quarter century in the National Guard. He didn't do anything. Is a gun owner who won a congressional marksmanship contest and is an avid hunter. Then why does he protest firearm ownership then? If he's a gun owner and a hunter and a marksman, then why doesn't he want us to have firearms? Why not? There's an oxymoron for you. Monkey is here. Glad you could make it. And Tuck says, Low T Waltz is a man's man. Where? In a bathhouse? Yeah, in a bathhouse. Yeah, in a bathhouse. And the name of the bathhouse is the Body Shop. The Body Shop. The Electric Cowboy. Oh my God. The Toolbox. All right, I'll stop. He is also a man who spent years coaching high school football, the most American of pastimes. He coached the girls' B team, didn't he? And then they fired him, or they suspended him for a DUI. Is that correct? I think that's what I read. Oh, the whole generation of men across the country have cited as a formulative experience in their lives. It's so central to the cultural zeitgeist that the entire films and TV shows have been built around telling the stories of high school football teams. The image of a high school football coach is often one of a whistle-clutching Neanderthal too busy focusing on winning to touch anything politically correct. But Waltz and the Harris campaign are making a point of highlighting the ways that the Minnesota governor has sought to break the cultural mold, like when the then football coach took the initiative to sponsor a gay-straight alliance at the school where he worked. Wow, not much of a man's man anymore, is he? John says Aussie War Pigs. That's a good one. Nostalgic says Waltz has never owned anything. He's a renter. Monkey says, can't be a man's man if you got soft hands as a teacher. And H12 says, Billy the Mountain by Ozzy. Cruising says, can't have soft hands as a teacher. Got to keep them tough so you can knock the chairs and bullets out of the air while you're at work. No, they only fly when your back is turned. They only fly when your back is turned. And we're being joined now by Granny Smith. Granny Smith has taken refuge in the chair behind me. You'll be able to see her in a moment. Quote, I sort of naively believed that someone who was a big masculine dude with a deep voice was never someone who's going to be on my side, says Waltz. You're right. I won't be on your side. I won't be on your side. Oh my God. I couldn't resist. There's Granny Smith. You see her taking a little time to groom herself in the chair back there, getting comfortable. Hey, darling. Granny Smith, everyone. So we've seen a few choices for the most influential protest song of all time. Now I'm going to show you what it is. And Anarchy has joined us just in time to see what the most influential, and see if you remember this one. I got it sitting over here. Just a moment. You're okay, girl. I'm not going to bother you. Sitting right over here. Are you ready? That is Arlo Guthrie's Alice's Restaurant. Alice's Restaurant. Have you ever heard this song? It's almost 19 minutes long. It is the single greatest protest songs ever written because it's had the most influence. And I'll tell you why. Who has heard that song before and who knows about that song? Who knows about that song? And it was written in 1967. Yeah, Baki says kittens. There you go. Yeah, I've got cats there. Monkey never heard of it. And Anarchy says every Thanksgiving on the radio. And that is correct. And I don't know if all radio stations are still doing it. It is really it's a Thanksgiving themed song. And it was written in 1967. It was performed live right off the top of Arlo Guthrie's head. Okay, if I'm following the story right, if I remember correctly. He performed it on a radio show. He performed it on a radio show, and everybody was like, wow, that was really good. They kept calling in. The radio show had him come back and tried to get him to do it again. They recorded it, and then an official recording was made because everybody was so enthralled with the song. And then the song was so popular that they made a live action film based off of the song. Okay. And Monkey says from the quick research, it was about a massacre. No, it's not. It's actually not. And the Jericho says I'm on a roll with the sarcasm. And it's not about a massacre at all. It's based on a true story. There is an Alice's Restaurant, but it's not called Alice's Restaurant. No, there's no massacre. There's no Alice's Restaurant massacre, Monkey, that I'm aware of. The restaurant was a real place. It wasn't called Alice's. Okay. So what happens is he goes and he spends Thanksgiving with them. They're friends, him and some other people. And there's a huge pile of trash. And so they're like, yeah, you know what? We'll help you clean up. So they gather all this garbage and the dump is closed. So they find a place to dump it. They break the law. All right. But they get found out and they get arrested for it's like a felony littering charge. Okay. Fast forward, he gets a draft notice. Okay. He shows up in the draft registration office. They're all set to enlist him. They're going to conscript him and send him overseas. Then the felony record comes up and they throw him out. And he's like, what the hell? So because I've got an arrest record for littering, I'm not good enough to go murder babies and burn villages. And that's really what he's saying. He's protesting how ridiculous the draft is in this. And it still has an impact to this day because it was a tradition for a long time that every radio station at least once on Thanksgiving would play this song in its entirety uninterrupted. And it's, what does it say? 18 minutes and 20 seconds long. So that would be, because of the cultural impact, the most significant protest song ever written. Because many radio stations to this day still play it, even though people don't understand what the song's about. It's very folksy and conversational, and it's funny. It's actually very entertaining. Very entertaining. Anarchy says, I think I caught part of the movie once too, but I haven't seen the whole movie. Yeah, it was a film in 1969. Way back in 1969. But that would be probably the most influential, I think, protest song ever done. And nobody uses that one. I don't think it would be that easy to, because it's really just him with an acoustic guitar. And half of it is spoken verse. Sometimes he sings and sometimes he's talking to the audience, which is actually very well done, very entertaining. If you've never heard it, pull it up on I'm sure you can find it on YouTube and listen to it. And you'll see what I'm talking about when he says, and Brian says, what the hell are they smoking? Littering is not even a felony. It was a lot of trash. Or so the story goes, but it was enough of a charge that when they looked and they said, "Oh, you got an arrest record. You got it says XX on the arrest record. We don't want you." And he's like, "Littering? You're throwing me out for littering. I'm not good enough to go and kill and die, to be forced to kill and die for my country because of a littering charge." Okay. And Ricky is here from Tennessee. Glad you could join us today. But that one, Land of Confusion, and They Don't Really Care About Us by Michael Jackson. Very underrated protest songs. Now that we got way out in left field. Oh, by the way, I'm taking strikes now from YouTube for visual content. Visual content. So some of the video clips that I've aired, they're claiming copyright on and giving me strikes for. I can't win. Can't freaking win. Can't win. Baki says another song I hear on Thanksgiving is One Bourbon, One Shot, and One Beer. Oh, look at you. Hold on a second. One bourbon, one shot, and one beer. When you're not busy being bad to the bone, and that would be George Thorogood. George Thorogood, everybody. And Brian says, "Is littering bad?" Yeah, but that should not disqualify him from that. That was his argument. It was like, you act like you're so strict. You're pretending like you're so strict and you've got so much honor. Oh, you've got an arrest record. How dare you? And you're forcing people to go and kill and die in another country in a war you made up, essentially, which was revealed in the Pentagon Papers, and everybody has forgotten about that by now. Okay? Everybody's forgotten about that by now, unfortunately. But here we go. While we're on the subject of Thanksgiving dinner, here's some folks that won't be having any dinner at all. Newsweek article: migrants are going on a hunger strike at the U.S.-Mexico border detention center. Oh, I'm worried about that. Nostalgic says he runs that tune on his station all the time. All the time. Monkey said that basically the message is that an innocent person can be drafted to go and die in a war, but yet does something minor enough to where they get arrested and are barred from enlisting. Pretty much. Listen to the song. Again, I know a lot of people aren't into folksy style music, but it's presented very well, and he's very clear in his singing and speaking. You get the gist of what he's saying. Plus, it's funny and entertaining. Forgotten classic. So back to the article. Dozens of migrants are on hunger strike at detention centers near the U.S.-Mexico border amid claims that they have been denied basic human rights. Oh, really? The California Collaborative for Immigrant Justice said 62 detainees at ICE's Golden State Annex and Mesa Verde detention centers in Kern County, California, are taking part in the protest. Send them home. They can eat all they want. One inmate who spoke to Newsweek alleged that the centers cut corners in pursuit of profit, a claim vehemently denied by this GEO group, which runs the sites on behalf of the government. A spokesperson for the GEO group told Newsweek, GEO takes exception to the allegations that have been made regarding the services that we provide at GEO contracted ICE processing centers. This is one of the things you got to deal with, though, when you outsource something like this. They're outsourcing a detention center, basically because the government doesn't want the liability of running it. The same thing that's happened to orphanages in the United States, the same thing that happened with mental institutions in the United States a great deal in the 80s and 90s. Back to this. Individuals are provided with access to a cadre of medical professionals such as physicians, nurses, dentists, psychologists, and psychiatrists. All individuals at GEO ICE centers are provided with 3 high-quality daily meals, based on menus that are approved by ICE and by the registered dietitian. I don't have it that freaking good. I don't get. I could use free dental. How about you? Hell, you can't get free dental from the VA. A spokesperson for Immigration and Customs Enforcement refused to address the allegations and told Newsweek U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement does not comment on ongoing or pending litigation. They don't have to. It's outsourced. There has been a series of hunger strikes at ICE-run detention. In July, 59 people started labor strikes at the Golden State Annex and Mesa Verde Processing Center. Further strikes saw 42 people detained at the Golden State Annex go on a hunger strike, which, with several participants, continued for 12 days, resuming eating on July 23rd after the guards allegedly threatened to transfer them to Texas. See, that's how you know the hunger strikes are bullshit. Because if they meant it, they would say, okay, go ahead and transfer me then. I'm not eating. But they chickened out when they figured that they might actually have to face some kind of discipline. No balls. None. No cojones. You had enough coconuts to jump that fence and sneak into the country. But you don't have enough coconuts to stand by your hunger strike, or as Mick Foley would say, you lacked the testicular fortitude to stand behind what you had to say. And Urban says, I could use a free dietitian these days. Oh, you could take a hunger strike. Strikes were relaunched in August with 62 people across both facilities going on a hunger strike, which is ongoing with varying numbers of participants, as is the labor strike. People, this is a quote, people should not have to go on hunger strike for the right to eat a piece of fruit or to go to the doctor, the CCIJ said. I guarantee you these people are not lacking for medical attention. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Especially since it is outsourced. They're claiming they're not getting resources because who is it? Who was it? GEO. GEO is skimping for profit. No, the more services they provide, the more money they can make. It's tax dollars. It's a government contract. The more services they can demonstrate that they're providing, the more money they will make. They're not going to skimp on services. They get reimbursed for all of it. They get reimbursal. When I was the director of the daycare in Kansas, because the majority of the people that were leaving kids in the facility were welfare contracts. It was the free childcare program or taxpayer-funded childcare program, okay? Because the majority of the children were being paid for by Social and Rehabilitation Services, SRS, through HND, not HND, KDHE, Kansas Health, Kansas Department of Health and Environment. I got my acronyms mixed up. Kansas Department of Health and Environment reimbursed the facility's groceries for meals that were provided. So why would you skimp? You're getting every penny of it back. We didn't skimp on anything. Those kids ate good. They ate plenty. Baki says, King Mick Foley, him versus Undertaker, Hell in a Cell is classic. Yeah, Undertaker thought he accidentally crippled or killed him when he fell through, right? And all the people ran out, and he was like, oh crap, is he alive? I remember seeing that in an interview. But big deal. People who snuck into the country that are being detained for whatever reason. I love how that one guy's wearing a Captain America shirt in the photo. And winter coats. How cold is it down there? Where are these people coming from? I love how he's got Captain America on his shirt. That's funny. I have no sympathy for these people. I'm sorry. especially since they're going to give up on the hunger strike if they're actually threatened with anything. It shows that there was no actual incentive there anyways. It's all for show. It's all for show. At least these people might not actually be eating unless someone's sneaking them food, which is possible. Which is possible. I don't know how the inside of the center is run. I'm sure that although they can't leave the facility, they're not being locked up per se. It's probably being run like a homeless shelter, except that they can't go out. I can't say I have very much sympathy for it. And what is this whole thing now recently in the last year with hunger strikes being popular again? Where'd that come from? Where the hell did that come from? That hunger strikes are a thing again. Maybe somebody can explain that. Maybe somebody can explain that to me. And we'll transition into another article. I thought this was interesting. Someone sent this one to me. This is Johnny Future, who is on this channel sometimes. He joins the live occasionally. Sent this one to me. Fox News article, unsuspecting shoppers in multiple states fall victim to distraction theft. Shoppers in Utah, Nevada, and Idaho were targeted by interstate crime gangs who eventually captured hundreds of miles away in Wisconsin. Excuse me. I tripped over my words. And there is it says 2 criminals are seen stealing from an elderly shopper at a grocery store in St. George, Utah. While one suspect distracts the woman, a male accomplice is seen repeatedly reaching into the victim's cart. And I'm going to show you this in a minute. Okay. And they changed this title. I just noticed that when I opened this article earlier, okay, and looked at this, because I did watch this video clip already. It said that the interstate crime groups were from Romania and Africa. Now it's not there. Now it's not here. But I'm going to show, and saying they're from Romania is a really nice way of saying they're gypsies. Call it what it is. There's no audio on this. There's no audio on this clip. On this video clip. See if this will run.
We are Solventa.
God. Hold on, they're trying to jump me with an ad here really quickly. Ad 1 of 1, and I cannot bypass it. Man, I am tired of ads. Who else is sick of ads? You know, what's her name? Eleanor Roosevelt tried to warn us. Eleanor Roosevelt tried to warn us, okay? Because she hated billboards. If I'm thinking of the right first lady, it was Eleanor Roosevelt. Hated billboards. Who wants to drive around the country and have advertisements in your face everywhere you go? God, she must be rolling over in her grave. Can you imagine? Because you can't escape it. The ads in the email, ads to going to people's text messages, ads all over the place in all forms of media. Try to watch a TV show, try to watch a movie, try to watch anything on YouTube, you got non-stop advertisements. It's sickening. It's absolutely sickening. They must realize no one's paying attention to any of this. Nobody's watching the damn ads. But I'll go ahead and play this clip. Here it comes. You see the people in the aisleway, and this is the guy. There's the old woman in the pink. Here comes dude. He creeps up, looks up and down the aisle. He's going to put his hand in her purse. The other woman that's standing in front of him, it's hard to see. See, he's rifling her purse, and then he backs off. Urban says, read a book if you want no ads. No kidding. And he goes in there again. There's a woman, a female accomplice. It's hard to see her yet as we're watching along. What strikes me is how bold this person is. He keeps going. He took something out of her purse and he's holding it in his hand. He palmed it. Here comes the accomplice again. That woman back there. Now you can see her clearly. And look how bold he is. He comes back. He's gonna do it again. He's waiting for her to stop the cart, and the carts that are in the middle of the aisle are in his way. There he goes, and she's right there. There's something else in there that he wants, and he can't quite get his hand on it because the woman keeps shifting. And honestly, her situational awareness is absolutely horrendous. You would think that she would at least see his reflection in the glass. That she would at least see his reflection in the glass. And she's not paying attention to anything. And this is what was done that day. And I told the story before about when I was shopping in a thrift store called Urban Renewal in Allston, Massachusetts. And I caught someone doing that, and I held him in the store until the police came. I wouldn't let him leave, and they arrested him. I've told that story before. But look how bold he is. There's another person in the aisle now, too. That's incredible. And it's not just because she's old. Most people are this oblivious. Most people are this oblivious. They don't pay attention to anything around them. They're not listening. They're not watching. They're not aware. And Baki says it's like evil ninjutsu sneaking around. Yeah. And H12 says he quit TV because he always fell asleep during the ads and missed the show. Wow. I was always falling asleep in college. God, I was bored. I'd be fighting to keep my eyes open in the classes and during the lectures. I'm surprised I graded as well as I did. But this is, I'll go ahead and run that again while we're talking. This is just one clip. Oh, another ad. Give me a freaking break. Give me a break. Anyway, I guess I'll just let that run for a minute while I'm talking. Hopefully I won't get a strike for that too. Because again, I'm getting strikes now for visuals. On some of the videos. It just doesn't make any sense. And they're being used in the proper context. The law allows for it. For what I'm doing. But try telling that to their AI. Anyway, the balls on this guy are tremendous to keep going back and forth and doing that. It's amazing. And, you know, you're like, but it's on camera. That doesn't mean anybody's watching this. They check this camera after the fact because she realized she got robbed. She realized she got robbed. She probably complained. They went and they looked in the camera, found her in the aisles, and then realized, oh God, this guy stole out of her purse. Because no one's watching that. You know, there's 500 cameras in your average supermarket nowadays. Nobody's monitoring that. They're just recording it. They're just recording it in case they need it. But the fact that he just keeps going in there, and you should never leave a purse unattended. This is something that people should just know anyways. It's common sense. They've been saying it for years. Since I was a kid, I've heard that. Never leave your purse in the cart. Never leave your child unattended in a cart. Never leave your purse open. Never leave your purse in your car. Don't carry your wallet in your back pocket. Don't carry your wallet in your jacket pocket. On and on and on. John says you have cats. You shouldn't get strikes. Yeah, tell that to ScrewTube. Fluke Man says, I remember that story. Russian women seem to be scared of the police. Think they were also afraid of German shepherds. Russian cops are as scare tactics. Yeah. She spoke Russian, and they had to get someone to translate for her, but she didn't want to talk because all they wanted to know was, hey, can you check your purse? Is something missing? Is something missing? This guy was seen reaching in your purse. As I saw him do it, I saw him reach across. He was between the aisles. You know how they line up clothing aisles? in thrift stores, and he was in the middle and reached through and put his hand in her purse, and I saw him take something out. And I was like, and I went and I told the people up at the cashier center, hey, you see that guy right there? He stole something out of a woman's purse. I'm not letting him leave the store. Call the police. And they're like, huh? And then when he tried to leave, I physically kept him from leaving. I would not let him out of the store. And the police came, and they did end up arresting him because he had warrants anyways. Go figure. Big surprise. But that should come as no surprise to anyone, that people are that oblivious, that they're that dull-witted. Again, call me paranoid, but if I'm in front of glass like she is in the freezer section there, or the refrigerated section, there's reflection all around you. If anything is moving in that reflection, I'm going to notice it. And I know, like I said, I noticed that she's, I know she's old, but is that really an excuse? Tuck says they haven't carried anything in their back pockets for many years, not since they were a teen. And Baki says one crazy tried to steal a youngling in the supermarket, brazen evil in daylight. Thankfully, they caught him quickly before he even left the aisle. That's good. And Brian says they're oblivious because of smartphones. Well, people were dumb before smartphones, but it's not helping. And Pride Mover says, I've seen enough people with their wallet or phone hanging halfway out of their back pocket that I keep mine in my front or cargo pocket. Yeah, it should be easily acceptable. Or accessible, excuse me. Easily accessible. Easily accessible. But yeah, people, especially nowadays, as Brian had pointed out there, that they're oblivious because of smartphones. People were already not necessarily very situationally aware always of what's going on around them. They're not using their peripheral vision. They're not listening. But the phones have made that worse. They've made that worse. Urban says many seniors have a big pile of cash in their purse. Way back when I worked at a retail counter, little old ladies would open their wallet and take out a wad, like $1,000. And Fluke Man says super glue some broken glass to a mousetrap in an open backpack. Ow-wee. Golly, Fluke Man, you'll be the one going to jail. Oh, man. Fluke Man getting excessive there. But yeah, strong lesson there about being situationally aware, about paying attention to your surroundings, about noticing things, about if you pass something that's reflective, glancing at it, about looking over your shoulder from time to time. Just take a quick look behind you and making a note. I do it all the time, especially, my wife and I, we go walking in the woods and stuff like that. You really got to be looking around. You really got to listen. Pay attention to what you hear. Pay attention to what noise is not there. Did something disrupt the natural sound if you're in a wooded area? There's a lot to think about. And Brian made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Always helpful. I'll take all the help I can get. All the help I can get. Very much appreciated. And I still have two. I've got Granny Smith sleeping behind me, and here's Monkey. Monkey is asleep on the towel. Urban says people in busy cities are always a bit detached. All the noise and commotion of large centers have a withdrawal effect. The brain escapes inward. And Prime Mover says going to go listen to Alice's Restaurant. Yeah, check it out. I recommend it if you've never heard it before. It is entertaining. Like I said, I know a lot of people are not into folksy style music, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by Alice's Restaurant. You may not like a lot of the other stuff that Guthrie did, but Alice's Restaurant is a gem. But anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. Again, You are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find Coffee Talk Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. Again, hey everybody. Thanks for joining us here today. Special thanks to Brian for helping the channel out. And as always, I hope you got something out of